And welcome back. Chapter 9, or Why I Want an Easy Button for My E-commerce website. So today we're going to look at, start with a quick review and see where does this chapter fit into the grand scheme of things. And then we're going to dig into the details. So we're going to look at the basic e-commerce software and then some advanced software out there, including what can be done at the enterprise level, and what is being done at the enterprise level. All right, so let's first talk about what have we already covered this semester. So you hopefully remember this graphic from last chapter, chapter 8, where we talked about the web server and where that fits into, it's built on top of the internet foundation, and you use the web server to create a website, to create different revenue sources, to create a web presence, to have advanced technologies and for your marketing and B2B, all within a legal and ethical environment. Well, what we're going to look at in this chapter is how to take that website using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and we're going to supercharge it. But we're going to do it in a way that makes it easy for you to develop a new website solution, an e-commerce solution. So the website, we're focusing again on that website, but this time we're instead of focusing on looking at the specific technologies for creating a base website, now we're going to look at software that's already been written, already been created to make your job that much easier when creating an e-commerce website. All right, so let's get to it. So basic e-commerce. Now there's a lot of problems that people have had when they first started struggling with creating an e-commerce solution. And I'll give you a list of a few of these, such as you might have a large and changing inventory. You might want to do sales or coupons or promotions. You want to do, you had issues with data entry, as customers were entering their order online, they might hit the wrong button or the wrong key, or people might change their minds. They'll start entering something, but then after they put it in, they're like, well, I don't know if I want that, and it's hard to get things out and to change the order submission form. They might accidentally hit up the submit button twice, so they may place an order twice, and there's no easy way to resolve that type of conflict. And you might have to process many different types of payments, from using credit cards to debit cards to you may be using PayPal. And then of the credit cards, there's multiple different types of credit cards, and how do you integrate with Visa and MasterCard and Discover and American Express? So many different ways and so many different companies you have to connect with that it's difficult to have to do this every single time you go into a new business. Every time another business wants this type of functionality, do you have to rewrite the same code over and over and over and over and over again? And then you can get into bigger issues, like you want to integrate with your shipping and logistics. You want to integrate with accounting, with your warehouse. So what are some of the solutions to this? Okay, and again, we'll start at the basic level. There's three big parts that we found solutions to. The first one is to create catalogs. So in other words, if you think about the old-fashioned catalogs that arrived in your mail, and you still occasionally get these advertisements, they're usually not as thick as they used to be, but they'll have a list of all the products that are for sale at a particular place. Well, if you put it online, you want to have a catalog of all your products. But you want to do more than just put the products out there. You also want to give prices and information about sales and about promotions. So these types of things ought to be taken into consideration when you're creating a catalog. Okay, you want to create shopping carts. And so this term refers to the capability, and most of you are probably familiar with this, but it's the capability of once you find an item in the catalog, that you can add it to your shopping cart while you continue browsing until you find everything that you need, and then you can go check out. And when you go to checkout, that is when you'll enter all the information for the transaction processing. In other words, to be able to add the shipping address, the billing address, the payment method, and any other relevant information that needs to be added at that point. So let's walk through what these look like in the real world here. So I went to a local website, Overton's, they're local to Greenville, North Carolina. Never actually been there myself. I don't actually do any water skiing or outdoors, a whole lot of water sports. But they have a really good website, and I like what they were doing here. But we can walk through this real quick. So here is, I just clicked on a link, I think for water skis, and this is what came up. But here is their catalog. And as you look down this list, you can see all the different products that they offer. So down here in the lower part, in the lower half, you'll see the name of a product, its price. They even have reviews that have been entered, and its current rating by those reviews. And you can see there's many, many pages of products. Now, I could do a search. This is looking at best-selling, but I can do a search and narrow it down. I can look by price range. I can look by brand, or if there's particular types of skis that I want, they're listed up here or across the top. So there's a lot of ways in this catalog. There's lots and lots and lots of products, but there's an easy mechanism to find the products that I want within a certain parameters. Okay, and that's the whole point of the catalog. Now, suppose I see one of these things that I like. Maybe it's just the O'Brien Vortex shaped combo skis, and I click on that link. It's going to take me to a page where it gives me more information about this particular product, and if I like it, I can click Add to Shopping Cart. And when I click on that, this is what pops up. Now I got the O'Brien Vortex shaped combo skis. They've added, it has listed a price, the quantity, and what my total cost is going to be so far, shipping and handling, additional freight, tax, and then my updated total. So all of this, though, they give you easy ways to add promotions and catalog codes. If you have a zip code, so for example, since I live here in North Carolina, I would have to pay sales tax on that. So if I enter my zip code, it should add a tax on there. But, that's the very base of what what you need for a shopping cart. Now, if I wanted to go continue shopping, luckily they have links up here at the top and at the bottom. If I click on that button, it'll take me back to the home page so I can shop for more products. Or if I'm done, and this is all that I want to buy, I go to checkout. Okay? In the checkout, this is where the transaction processing begins. And there's multiple links up here, starting from billing and shipping address to shipping method. And then you do your order, review, and payment. So by this point, we know what exactly I'm ordering. It has a tax because I've already entered my zip code. Any special instructions. And then down at the bottom down here, you see where there's the payment information. So the card type and number, or if I want to use PayPal, or there's a bill me later feature. Okay. It reviews my billing address, my shipping address, and then you click Submit Order when you're happy with everything that's listed. Okay. No, I didn't actually buy these skis. Like I said, I don't have a boat. Wish I did. But that's essentially the process you have to go through. Now, so this is what is most basic e-commerce websites have those three major features. Okay, and if you're going to go work for a company to help them with their e-commerce, these are the big things you're going to be trying to add. Now, many times when you go out into the business world, what you'll find is that there's software for small to mid-sized businesses. And a lot of you will probably end up working for those, especially here in the eastern North Carolina area. There's not as many large businesses that you'll dig into the e-commerce side of things. If you go to Raleigh or Charlotte, you might find more large businesses that you might get able to work for. But from the small side, where you're going to start might be looking at something like basic commerce service providers. So they're called CSPs, okay, commerce service providers. And what do they provide? Well, often they have methods for payments, distribution control. They'll give you some sort of website development and hosting. They might provide you with website performance monitoring, fulfillment management, online marketing, and even order processing and delivery. Okay, so they help you with all these different sets of features. Now, today, you go to any internet hosting provider, I shouldn't say any, many hosting providers offer some sort of commerce service provider package for you. And I know I did this. I signed up for a company called Bluehost.com. And they had a CPS already available for me that I could use for free. Okay. I didn't have anything to sell, but it was there. It was available. Okay. Sometimes you can even go with a company like Yahoo Merchant Solutions. Okay. So if I click on this, it takes you to smallbusiness.yahoo.com/e-commerce. And this is what they provide. So for $30 a month for the first year, and then it goes up to $40 a month, they will design your store. They can accept online payments. So you see they have a shopping cart feature. They can do your transaction processing for you, accepts credit cards, debits, PayPal, as well as checks, cash and deposit, purchase orders, money orders. They can process and ship. They'll help you with the processing and shipping. Isn't that sweet? They can help you with your marketing and promotions, direct emails, discounted listings, and all those types of things. And then at the back end, they can give you lots of reports and analytics so that you can analyze your sales over time. So this is, a nice, great set of features for anybody who's trying to create an e-commerce site, because Yahoo provides all this for you for $30 a month, and then there's also a transaction fee for each sale of 1.5%. And I think that's to help pay for the credit card transaction fees, which exist on every credit card. But they'll cover those fees. They do all the processing, and this pays $30 a month. Now, you might be saying, well, $30 a month, well, how much do I have to sell for that to be useful? Well, it's not just about what you have to sell, but it's also the time it might take for you to set this up yourself and manage this yourself. And that can be fairly intensive. So the fact that they're providing all these features for you for free, I shouldn't say for free, that was wrong. Not for free, but for $30 a month, it's a pretty good solution. Now, if you're selling, let's say, $10,000 worth of products every month, $30 out of that is worth it. Okay, you most likely have a much higher profit margin than that. So maybe if of $10,000 of sales, you're bringing in $4,000 in profit. So $4,000 in profit every month, and you can spend 30 of that on your commerce provider. Not too bad. All right. So what else for software for small and mid-sized? Well, there's also the mall-styled content service providers, such as what you get from eBay stores, Amazon web stores, and even Cafe Press. So Cafe Press is a kind of a very unique little website where you can you can design your own products, like they're showing here. You can create your own design. Maybe you have a software program like Adobe Illustrator. Create a design, upload that design to Cafe Press, and then add it to T-shirts, to accessories like bags, patches, wallets, buttons, drinkwares like mugs, water bottles, wall art, pillows, any of these things, stickers. You can add your design to these and then sell it. And Cafe Press provides you with an online store that allows you to sell it directly from Cafe Press. So you don't have to create all the back-end software to make that happen. Cafe Press will basically take your design, print it onto a shirt or onto a pillow or onto a sticker, and then ships it from their warehouse. So what do you have to do? The only thing you have to do is market it. That's it. That is the extent of what you have to do. And I mean, it's a great way to make some money with very, very little money you have to put into it. In fact, you have to put zero money into it, and you can sell products. All right. Amazon web stores. So if you want to sell something using Amazon's system, you can. Their web stores allows you to easily upload your product inventory. Customers buy your products. You go in through the Amazon.com interface, ship products to customers. Amazon takes care of that for you and then pays you. That's it. Okay, so you can sell your stuff. Less than 40 items per month, they charge you $1 per sale and other selling fees. If you have more than 40 items per month, they charge a little bit more, $40 per month plus other selling fees. But you're now in an entire mall. So if you go to Amazon.com and start looking at products and trying to buy products, you'll often see that Amazon might have a price for what they're selling directly, but then they'll also have prices for other merchants. And as you go through these products and you see other people selling this, you can look at all the different web stores directly from Amazon. Okay, so that's kind of what you can do there. Same thing, eBay. If you're going to sell things on eBay, you can create your own store of products that you sell through eBay's website. But it's more of like a big mall where there's a whole bunch of people all selling stuff there. Okay. So what are the costs involved for a small to mid-sized business? They range, and it can be as cheap as $700, and well, actually you can probably even manage to do it for even less than this. But some of them, initial setup fees are $0. Annual CSP maintenance fee, if you have to buy, purchase, or use a commerce service provider, the maintenance fees range, as you saw, from Amazon web stores was $40 a month. Yahoo Merchants started at $30 and goes up to $40. Domain name registrations, well, annual cost is actually pretty low. $11. I don't think that's quite the right name. That domain name registration should be as low as $11. Although if you go through something like Cafe Press, you don't have to get a domain name. You don't have to worry about it. A digital camera or a scanner for photo conversions can cost you a little bit of money. So if you've got to take pictures of your products, that can add up. Any photo editing software, you can go cheap with some of those for $60 or get some high-end like Adobe Photoshop. That costs a significant amount of money but can do some wonderful things with photos. Occasional HTML and site design help. Sometimes are offered for free if it's a package deal. Sometimes you need to hire somebody to help you with that, $100 here or there. And then the merchant credit card setup fees. Okay, so you're looking at, and you can probably even wheedle this down even smaller if you're doing kind of a one-man shop. But most small businesses, you're going to be looking to put some money into it, probably around the $700 all the way up to $5,000. But you have to also consider how much time is this saving you if you had to do a lot of this stuff yourself. So the commerce service providers give you so much at such a low price. Because think about if you had to develop, based on what you've learned so far about doing any type of web development, how long would it take you to duplicate what you saw there at Overton's? I showed you in the first few slides. And I can speak from personal experience from having done some web development. It would probably take me several weeks to several months to do this, to do exactly what they did. How much is my time worth? Well, if you figure I get paid, maybe $3,000 a month, 3,000 times, let's say it took 2 months, that's $6,000 just to write all that code myself. Versus going with one of these low-cost solutions, maybe it's $700. Oh yeah, these are per year. $700 per year. How many years? The cost savings is astronomical. Okay. Software from mid to large size. We're going to look at several different web development tools out there, including Intershop, Infinity, IBM WebSphere. IBM has actually a suite of WebSphere products. Their Commerce Express and Professional editions are designed for mid to large size businesses. Microsoft has a commerce server, soon to be called Ascentium, it's being purchased by Ascentium, and it's going to be rolled up into the Ascentium commerce server. But these tools are far more sophisticated to deal with businesses that have very large quantities of inventory that want to start integrating their e-commerce system with their back-end system. So usually at this point, it's more than just having somebody manage a lot of the stuff for you, where you're doing a lot of the management of the back-end stuff yourself. So you have to deal with the shipping and logistics. You have to deal with, you want to integrate it with your accounting, with your Salesforce, with your marketing and all that, and have an integrated system. Okay, you got to have the software to help you get there. And these pieces of software are much more heavy duty and help you accomplish that very quickly. And then at the very large scale, we have the enterprise class software like IBM WebSphere Commerce Enterprise Edition, Oracle e-Business Suite, and BroadVision. Okay. And again, these are ones that deal with multiple different product lines. You might, if you go to like HP, they have a website where you can buy computers from them, right? But they also have to be able to integrate that with all of their other systems throughout the entire company. You got to be able to do very sophisticated customizations of their products. So like if I'm buying a computer from HP, I'm going to be able to add, I want certain types of components, add some components, change some components out from their base configurations. And then they need to have that information go to their warehouse where they construct the computer, where they build it. So you have to make sure whoever's building gets to see the exact order and knows what's going into it. And then they have to make sure that the shipping goes all to the right places. Now, especially if you have a large order, so let's say I'm ordering 100 computers from HP, and I want 50 of them to be this configuration, 20 to be this configuration, and 5 to be this configuration, 5 to be this configuration, 10 to be this configuration, and so on. They need to organize all that and then have it shipped directly to me as appropriate. Okay, so they got to have software that can deal with all these complexities, and that's what you get at the enterprise level. Now, part of this is also integrating with the customer relationship management software. And there was a couple good case studies in the book on this as well, where I believe there's one at the end of the chapter that talks about a golf cart business. Okay, they build and sell golf carts, and they noticed that. I think the case was started within around 2001 when there was a recession. And so their sales dropped off, and so they were trying to get their salespeople to use a customer relationship management software to help them with their sales. And what they found, though, as they were implementing this software, so this is essentially a type of e-commerce software, so the salespeople, though, use the e-commerce in conjunction with customer relationship management to help facilitate selling customized solutions to their customers. But the salespeople said that the data entry was just too darn hard, and so they had to end up customizing their suite of their CRM, their customer relationship management, to make it easier to work with, so they can take it to the client, sit down with the client, flip through the different customizations right there in front of them, and be able to place the order right there in front of them. But still have access to all the information about what can be customized, what's the relationship with the customer, what types of things have they been interested in the past, and how can you help them achieve those same values, or if there's new or changing situations, to help them with that. Whew, it gets complex. All right. Same thing at the other end, not just your customers, but your supply chain management. And there was although this wasn't so much the supply chain management problem as it was a problem with logistics, but there was a very famous story about Toys R Us, who in 1999 ran into a big, huge problem when shortly after that they launched ToysRUs.com in 1998. But by 1999, they were getting to the point where they were selling close to $50 million worth of toys through their website. That was still a very small fraction of the toys that they were selling. But their goal was to have a big splash for the 1999 Christmas season. They put all kinds of offers out there, including free shipping. They gave people $10 off their product, or off their regular price of items. So if you spent over $50, they'd knock $10 off. And they threw out all these coupons, and they really heavily advertised. They ran into a slight problem. It was far more successful than they had imagined. And their warehouse and their logistics couldn't keep up. They made so much money. So basically it was, I think, close to 90% of all their sales from their website happened during that Christmas season, so those 2 months before Christmas. It was so freaking successful that their warehouse and shipping and logistics, their order fulfillment center, couldn't handle it. I believe they said close to 5% of all their orders from the website did not get there before Christmas. And a bunch of really sad kids didn't get the gifts that they were hoping for at Christmas time. So, being able to integrate with your supply chain, and again, that was more of a logistics example, but it gets to, do you have the products coming that you can then use to sell? And knowing your inventory levels, not just what your current inventory is, but what products are coming to you and how available are those to get to you so that you can then turn around and sell them, is absolutely essential when you get to the enterprise level, to these large businesses. All right, so what are some of the tools besides these software to actually develop the website, the e-commerce site itself? There's oftentimes a lot of other stuff in the background that has to be working, okay? And we'll get to those in a second. But before that, I want to talk about a CMS, which stands for Content Management System. Excuse me. Many different versions. Here's a list from Wikipedia of content management systems. As you can see, as I quickly scroll down this page, there are hundreds of content management systems. Okay. So what is a content management system? Well, think about it this way. You have a lot of content. And that content might be products, it might be articles, it might be pictures and images and videos. How do you manage all that? So not only the creation of it, so you want to have a system where it's easy to add this information, but then you also want to organize it. You want to have a process set up for validating what gets published. So especially like when you're talking about like a newspaper, right? One of the journalists might write an article for it, but then it goes to the editor, and the editor reviews it. And then once the editor reviews it, then it goes to the print master, who might add a picture or formats it correctly. And then from there, it goes into production. Okay, so there might be a series of steps that one article will go through before it actually gets published. Content management systems are designed to help with that process, okay, of dealing with all this different content and the process from going from original creation to publication. And they're extremely popular online, okay? Now, I found this, it's a pretty good review, even though it's a couple years old. So the review is actually reviewing older versions of the 4 big open source content management systems. And those 4 are WordPress, Joomla, which is spelled Joomla, Drupal, Drupal, and Plone, Plone. They're all open source, and they all work on using PHP programming. Can all be installed. I think all of them can be installed with a MySQL database. I do not remember if each one of those can go on other databases. But in this article, and this is a PDF article, it might give you a warning. Go ahead and open it. It's safe. I wouldn't send you any spam. But it was actually a pretty well done article that digs into. So here it was fully updated in 2010. So again, it's a couple years old. So the additions have changed slightly. I think they talk about WordPress 3.0, and I think it's up to 3.4 now, and so on. But this is the type of stuff you need to be looking for when you try to make decisions about what to install. Now, what's great about these content management systems, and this is what I do for our website that we use for the class website on the ARG server is done with WordPress. You know, I've created my own personal website at reasonforsuccess.com, and I used WordPress to create that as well. In fact, WordPress is on a whole bunch of different websites. I think over 100,000 different websites use WordPress. It is extremely popular. A lot of bloggers use it. A lot of news websites use content management systems. Because it gives you ability to create a website really easy, okay? It's hitting the easy button, bam. So, and in class, I'm going to demonstrate WordPress installation, and it should only take about 5 minutes. In fact, that's one of their claims to fame, is that this installation takes 5 minutes, and you basically have the basics already put in. And then what you can do is go out and find a bunch of plugins, including things like shopping carts, that you can add to your WordPress installation that gives it additional functionality. And what's great is a lot of the stuff is free. There's a lot of plugins. There's themes. So a theme is basically how your website's going to look. There's a lot of free themes, and then there's even a lot of paid themes, themes and paid plugins. But even when you have to pay money for them, usually they're very low cost. So I've seen a lot of themes that you can buy for, $5, maybe $10 or $20. But think about that. $20 for a theme? How much time did they spend building that? How much time would you have to spend building it? And here you get it quickly and easily for only $20. Okay? It would probably take me several hours, if not a couple weeks, considering your skill level, but it would take you a while to create the theme yourself. And it's done for you super quick and easy. A lot of plugins. So like I've downloaded a plugin for WordPress that integrates my website with Facebook. Facebook built it for me. And Facebook provided on WordPress.org's website. I clicked the download, I installed it, and now I got that great functionality. So now every time I write a blog post, it automatically gets published on Facebook. I can even, if I wanted to, I could use the comments from Facebook, use the Facebook login, people's Facebook profiles for my comment section. I didn't choose to do that, but you could. So there's a lot of integration you can do, which is really, really, really powerful. And a lot, again, it's the easy button. You hit it, bam, you got all this great stuff. Okay. Now the university, East Carolina University, uses Microsoft's content management system called SharePoint. And it, again, allows you to take files, or basically create processes for creating content and having that content available for other people to review, to approve, and then leave it available for other people to view that want to view it. Okay. All right. So how do we decide what to do? Okay. So there's a lot of different options out there. How do you go about making some sort of decision about which one to choose? Okay. Now, for most large businesses today, they probably already have something already there. I mean, let's face it, and I think as far as I know, every large business, any Fortune 500 company already has a website, already has an e-commerce website, if they do any e-commerce work. Most of them do. So they probably have a platform. They're probably already using a specific set of software. If they ever decide to change, and I think this is important to consider, is why would they want to change? Well, there's a lot of things they got to think about, more than just there's some cool new features on this new platform. Because they have to take into consideration a whole bunch of things, such as the migration plan. How are we going to migrate from this one system, this one platform, to the new platform without letting there be any downtime? How well does this new platform integrate with our current system? So for like accounting and order fulfillment and shipping and logistics and any of these other major processes, or our marketing, our sales team, how does it all integrate together? Okay, you got to understand the support for this new platform. Do you go with an open source platform? Well, if you do that, it's much more difficult often to find support if there's a problem with the software. And then training. So if you go into a new platform, you got to retrain everybody in your business on how to use this platform. And now it might be possible for you to mimic a lot of the functionality on the front end by just keeping the website a similar shape. And we'll talk briefly about some methods of doing that. But again, there's bound to be some changes. Okay. For small and medium-sized businesses, there's slightly different features. Now, often, yes, a lot of them do have websites or some e-commerce. But again, you still have to think about beyond just features and price. But think about, if you're a growing business, how are you going to scale up? How are you going to go from where you're at now to where you want to be in 10 years? Okay, so oftentimes when you're looking at software, that's something you have to keep in mind, is if this is what we start with, how easy will it be for us to change in 5 or 10 years if we want to? You have to look at the levels of expertise that your business has to develop and deploy one of these systems. Okay, so you might say, well, yeah, I want to use, IBM's WebSphere Commerce Express. But if there's nobody in your business who knows anything about it, how much is that going to cost versus going with maybe a commerce service provider who can provide all that expertise for you? And yes, they're going to charge you a monthly fee for it, but it may be very well worth it if it saves you the time of creating it yourself. And it saves you the time of having them either train the employees to do it or to hire a new employee who has the skills to do it. So there's a lot of things that go into the consideration. Again, if you guys have taken systems analysis and design, you probably, hopefully, have been introduced to a lot of these ideas of what you have to look at and consider before you go in and just go out and buy something, right? To me, though, the big things is you want to try to automate as much of the process as you can, or automate the installation as much as you can, or make it as easy as you can. Let's just get it down. That's it. When you have, you want to have an e-commerce website that automates as much as possible, that makes it as easy as possible for your business to make transactions and to make money. All right, so automate. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about the enterprise tools that kind of can fit in the back end of this. And as you imagine, this is where things get really tricky. I shouldn't say tricky. This is where things get much more complex. And so we'll briefly blow through some of these and give you an introduction to some of the key terms and concepts. And these, again, usually only applies for very large businesses. Well, I say that, but databases, obviously, this is something that even at a small business is going to have to deal with under e-commerce. If you're going to have a catalog, you're going to want to put that catalog into a database of some sort. So that's going to be true at almost every level. However, databases can get very big and very complex, especially at the enterprise level, especially if you're working with something like Oracle or even SQL Server. You need to have the right tools and capabilities to handle working with those types of databases. Very often you do need some sort of middleware as well. So what is middleware? Well, as you can kind of imagine, it kind of sits in the middle. The middle of what? Well, in between your e-commerce website and all the back-end systems. Okay, so it kind of sits in the middle. So it basically is a translation system. Oftentimes they work with XML. So they send communications in XML format from the middleware to the interface, then from the interface back to the middleware, and then from the middleware to the back-end systems, and then from the back-end systems back to the middleware. Okay, and it does a translation. The middleware translates the XML files from one format into another, and that's its primary function. So I'll give you a few examples. Oracle has one, IBM has one, Broadvision has one. Middleware is very, very important, especially at the e-commerce level when you're dealing with large businesses. Now, middleware isn't always used. Sometimes they use what's called enterprise application integration. And at this level, what you're trying to do is have the communication going on between a lot of different components or objects throughout the organization without necessarily having the middleware. So you still want to have the same communication, but now what you're trying to do is have them integrated in such a way that the business functionality in the accounting can communicate with the e-commerce, can communicate with the shipping logistics, can communicate with the marketing, and all of them are sending communications back and forth between each other directly. Okay, so major examples would be enterprise Java Beans, the component object model, and even Corba, which was created by the object management group. Now, you also would want, and we'll talk briefly about this, integration with ERP. Now, we talked about CRMs, and stands for Customer Relationship Management, and supply chain management, but also with enterprise resource planning. So these are again, and hopefully you remember the term, enterprise resource planning is basically these large-scale enterprise applications that handle the resources of the organization and how they all relate with one another. So it's one gigantic piece of software. Oftentimes, that includes inventory, your materials, your production, your accounting, your human relationship management. All of it's put together into this one application. Well, you want your e-commerce to work with this as well. Okay, so you have to integrate with it. And so the major ERP companies, really there's only two left, SAP and Oracle. And then like at customer relationship management, you have Salesforce.com and a bunch of other ones. Like Oracle has a CRM. And then at the supply chain management level as well. We talked about web services. Guess what? These are used significantly as enterprise tools for integration. So I'm not going to rehash what all goes into them, but these are a big part of how communication can be done to send information back and forth. So it's not necessarily using the services and enterprise application integration, but now we're using web services to communicate. And we're finding more and more, rather than using the old school components that were really big in the 80s and 90s, now we're looking at web services and just sending information, making it all web-based. Everything's web-based. All the software is web-based. And we just use them as a service to send information back and forth. And additionally, you can get into cloud management, application performance management, security, a whole bunch of other issues still are there and still pertinent to how you create your e-commerce website. All right, that's about it. Okay, so what did we talk about today? Well, e-commerce software provides that backbone for online trading, any type of commerce that's going on, right? And the big three things, catalog, shopping carts, and transaction processing, are what happens in this e-commerce software. Now, those are the basics, but to do more advanced stuff, you need to have tools that can grow with the business, that can go from very simple web stores to complex integrated enterprise web solutions. And there's a ton of different pieces of software out there that make it easy to do this, or relatively easy. And really to take the perspective of where was our technology, 10 years ago or 15 years ago to where it is today is actually astronomically so much better, so much more easy to create these things. I think back into 1998, 1999, when I was getting started in web development. Oh my God, if I wanted to do the types of things that they have today, it would have taken me months and months and months to put things together. And they did. I did try doing some of that stuff by hand, and it was extremely complex. Now there's ways to do it very quickly, very easily, and you can buy them at really, really cheap prices. And some of them, it's like content management systems, some of them are free. And you can put together a whole website, including an e-commerce store, for free. And now that is something to talk about.